Thanks. And last question. What are some of your personal goals for your community? And in what ways does the WAVE project the place has been working on, which we've tried to make fit into those, in what ways do you think we've succeeded in fitting into your goals for this community?
I hope that Ventura, California can be a model for creating a sustainable planet. Now that doesn't mean that in our city of 100,000 on the Pacific coast that we have to model every challenge of every city across the planet, that we have to solve the problems that Nairobi or Tokyo or Jakarta or Shanghai or Guangzhou. We don't have to fix all those problems here. But we can model, and there's such an extraordinary power to model. As human beings, we want to see something that actually works, and that inspires us. Two of the most fundamentally overlooked stories in the American narrative are two World's Fairs that fundamentally shaped how Americans looked at what architects and academicians call the built environment, and the rest of us call the place where we live. And back in 1893 in Chicago, America was celebrating its 400th anniversary, the landing of Columbus back in 1492, and there was this tremendous sense of pride that America had emerged out of the Civil War as this industrial superpower. We were not yet a military or political superpower, but we were setting the pace of industrialism. And so all the cities of America, all the great cities, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, they all competed to showcase America to the world. And so Chicago was successful in winning the designation that they would hold the World's Fair, and that people from all over the world would come to America and see what a great nation we had become. Not just a rich and dynamic industrial power, but a country with a civilization that would rank with the great civilizations of Europe. In 1893, they drained 1,200 acres of swamp, which today I guess we would call wetlands, and they built this imaginary city out of lath and plaster that from even a modest distance looked like a fabulous wedding cake of marble and glass and granite. And they created this instant imperial capital. They called it the Great White City. And it was inspired by the most romantic visions of Europe, with gardens and fountains and reflective pools and fabulous monuments. And amazingly enough, in 1893, 21 million Americans managed to get to Chicago. They managed on horseback, on railroad, on foot. They managed to get to Chicago, and they saw this incredible model of what a city could be like. And they fanned back off across America. Frank Lloyd Wright, the Green brothers, came back to Southern California. They went to Portland, they went to Florida, and they created the City Beautiful movement. They said, we want to have beautiful civic centers, we want to have gorgeous parks, we want to have that kind of built environment. It's an extraordinary model. Here in Ventura, California in 2007, or in any place in America or any place around the world, we have the opportunity to build models. And the WAVE project, Working Artists Ventura, is that kind of model. I don't think 10.5 million Americans are going to come and wait 4 hours. And we probably won't print up buttons that say, I have seen the future. But I think it's going to have a huge impact when people come to a place in a historic downtown with contemporary architecture, with green building incorporated into it, with a performance space, with related retail space to the artistic feel of the place, with imaginative approaches to parking and alternative transportation. I think I said a performance space, but if I didn't, I'll reiterate, or if I did, I'll reiterate that. With people living there from all of the different disciplines of the arts, with people living there who are leaving homelessness and becoming self-sufficient, with market rate condominiums. And all of this created in a little town of 107,000 people. And to see that a nonprofit and the private sector and different levels of government, not just the city, the city, the county, and the state, and even federal tax credits, that all of this could come together, I think is a very powerful model. And models spread, models inspire. And so my hope is that in this project and in so many other small ways, with our Riverhaven self-governing encampment of the homeless, that's provided a way up and out of street life for several dozen people in our community. With our green initiative, where we're pursuing a whole series of sustainable strategies to measure up to international benchmarks and standards of how we live in a sustainable way. With our community park, with a 100-acre generational kind of contribution as a legacy, so that generations of kids will have a place to play and for families to gather. That we create a library for the future that reinvents the old model of a place where you very quietly look at books and check them out, into really a 21st century people's university where families come for all kinds of activities around learning and culture. These are the kind of things that, if we can model in our community, will inspire others. And frankly, other models in other communities are inspiring us. And that is a virtuous circle, rather than the vicious circle of increasing despair and dysfunctionality in our urban areas, which really captured American cities for 20 and 30 years. As we were building these new suburbs, America's cities got worse and worse. We're now in a virtual circle in which our cities are showing that through these projects and these plans and these activities and these initiatives that come from citizens, that come from nonprofits, that come from government, and that involve partnerships, all of these things can create this virtuous circle in which people in much more dramatic and daunting challenges around the world can say, well, okay, they're doing things right, and we can do more of that. If I was city manager of Dhaka, Bangladesh, I don't know where I would start. But here in America, there's so many places where we can put our shovel down and dig, and we can make our mark and leave our mark. So that's my goal, is that we do that, and that we provide hope and models and a belief that we can have a sustainable planet. And if we can do that here, that people all around the world will wake up and say, we can do it where we live too.